Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Oh, we got Miriam here already. Hi, Miriam. Welcome aboard. Miriam's got an idea for a one-page story. Fantastic. Okay. Well, let's get things rolling here. Okay. Hi. I hope everybody's doing okay. It has been a long week for a lot of my family, and so I appreciate everybody understanding that I haven't done a couple streams. Not half bad for not missing any for 5 months, but yeah, we needed a little time. So my wife lost her dad this week, so if only I could. That's a great suggestion, Miriam. I've got it in the book, so thank you very much for that. Today I'm gonna approach things in a bit of a different way. We'll get into that in a second. But welcome aboard, everybody. Thanks for coming out. We've got Dee Dee has joined us today. Hey, Dee Dee. How everybody else that might be lurking and not saying hi? You're always welcome to chat and say hi. Peyton from Lori and family. Thank you very much, Dee Dee. It's very nice of you. Yeah. It's John is in his 88th year, and he had a lot going. He had COPD. His heart wasn't great. He did have some heart surgery and then cancer on top. So it was tough. So he's out of pain and up where he needs to be. So I appreciate all the condolences and well wishes that everybody sent in. I appreciate it very much, as does our family, and the cards that we've been receiving. We appreciate those. But I think I'm going to take a different track on today's stream, and I'll get to that in a second. But I'm going to be away Thursday and Friday, but there may be a very special stream on Saturday with my brother-in-law, John. And if you've been here for one of the streams that John and I do together, it's a lot of fun. John's my buddy, and so having him here with me in those times I feel really fortunate for that. So, but aside from that, we've got some more family things in the next 2 days to do. But I thought I'd come and say hi, okay? And let's do a one page together, and then we'll be back again on the weekend. Jim's joined us. Hi, Jim. How are you? Welcome back. Thanks very much. I appreciate that. And Chris as well. How you doing, Chris? Welcome aboard. Okay, so I'm nibbling on candies because I want my blood sugar to be higher. I'm not low, but I want to be higher. Okay. All right, so today's page, I scanned a piece of, I'll show you. I scanned one of the jelly-plated images that I have. I'll just pull that up today. Okay, so here's the image that I scanned, and then I drew everything on that. So it came together pretty nicely. I was pretty happy with it, and you can see all that stuff still coming through. Now I had some black and white line art and that I posted over top of it, and then and then colored it up between the two layers. So it worked out pretty well, and I wanted to talk about how messed up it is to live in the city. But thank you very much. I appreciate that, Miriam. That's very nice of you. Okay, so a large part of this page is done digitally, and so I don't do digital only a lot, because as a mixed media guy, I like making a mess. But one of the things that we can do digitally is to take a blank canvas like I've got on the screen here, and then to take a gel-plated surface like we have, that I have prepared. It's not going to be this one. This is the one we just did this last page with. And then to work on top of that, And there's a lot of fun in that because it sort of allows us, like I'll pull it up now. So if I have this as the surface to work on, whoops, and so if I take that you see before you and then scan it, I'm going to copy it and I'm going to throw it onto our template that I try to keep all my pages a uniform size at. And then I can just stretch this sucker. So what this is, when I'm doing jelly plating, whatever it's called, and you've got to roll out your brayer of paint before you get into the next layer. And so you'll take these random sheets to the side of you. And this is the sort of stuff that you get. So I like it a lot to save this and to be able to work on this. And so that, I'm just that now. So this is a fun surface to work on. I know it might seem counterintuitive, but it is. And it sort of allows, a strange undervalue to sort of sit on, what is that? Oh, okay. Sorry, I've got a note came up. I had to figure out my microphone before the thing, and then I just saw it said my mic doesn't work. I'm like, what? The brayer off, Miriam calls it. Okay. I'm sure you all call it that. I don't know terms. So what this affords us is another avenue, another opportunity to be able to have a working surface that has some modification to it and therefore presenting an underlying value and a bit of an additional challenge. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to flip this around and I'll show you why. I'm going to draw today a portrait and a bit of story, a bit of textual story that's going to be incorporated in the image, similar to how I did the Hats Off to Bill Plimpton page recently that I posted on the One Page Stories. And Barbara's joined us. Hi, Barbara. How are you? Welcome aboard. And David's joined. I'm sorry, Robert's joined us. Welcome aboard, Robert. So the portrait that I'm going to do of my father-in-law, and I'll pop it up on screen. What I'm working from is just an image of him that I really enjoy of himself and of my lovely mother-in-law. And so this is what I'm working from. So if you're wondering, that's my source. But what I'm going to do is, because of that light blue that's in his shirt, that's why I've inverted this image around a little bit. And I'm going to take it a little bit farther even and push this even farther over here, just so that we can root him in a more central allocation of space. So this is the sort of way. Thank you, Robert. Robert says it needs less orange. So this is the sort of way I approach stuff. Now, it's very exciting times today because I'm going to put on my magic glove. And it's this 2-finger glove for drawing digitally with, so that your hand doesn't stick to the surface. Yeah, I just thought I would start kicking at the image, and I'll show you how I go about it. But it's important to me to talk about the things that are going through my head, and a lot of the way that I do, because this is a form of communication, whatever it is that we're working on. And I'm going to got the marching ants all over my page here. Get out of there. Okay, so it helps. It really does help to find avenues for expression. And I miss my father-in-law. He's pretty cool. I'll show you a couple things just before I get started. I'll pick some colors to start working from. Miriam says that glove is great, but Procreate, it doesn't allow her to use those fingers to shortcuts. Oh, I see. Well, you still got these ones, right? And Jim asked if it's too early for the question of the day. I will get to the question of the day, but everybody in the chat, feel free to answer the question of the day. Question of the day is something that Jim puts forward and just a fun conversation piece. But just before we do that, Jim, my father-in-law is already been involved in the one-page suggestions since the start of the year. And so the first page that I did, it was called My Beautiful, My Beautiful, and incorporates that song, Up and Away, My Beautiful Balloon, and alongside the narrative of the Chinese weather balloon that had to get shot down over the United States because it was, believed to be a spy balloon. So, that was his suggestion. And how John put it, which is my father-in-law's name, was, do you have any idea what I should do? And he says, the balloon! So, and then I had to read the paper and find out what he's talking about because I'm usually out to lunch. So that was the first page, and it was a lot of fun. And then the next page that I did talks about the shared interests that John and I have had about World War II books. It's just whatever we latched onto. But we were never talking about World War II. We're talking about history, and what went on then. We were more talking about the humanity of how we interact with one another and some of the crazy proclivities we have as a species, but at the same time, some of the human interest stories of people overcoming adversity and suffrage. So it's So that was the second piece. Okay, I'm sorry, I missed some stuff. Barbara says, I need one of those gloves, not that I would use it for art. I'm just thinking of the next social icebreaker. So how are you guys doing today? What's new? I can see that. It's a great song. Fifth Dimension, yeah. The balloon, yeah, that's exactly how he suggested it to me. He says, the balloon, the Chinese balloon. So that's what I did. And then, of course, this is him talking about the stuff that we enjoyed together. So, this isn't in reference to my father-in-law, but what we're going to do today is, so this is the original source image that I scanned of one of the jelly-plated paper cast-offs, like the rolled out, I can't remember what Miriam said. And then we're going to use this for doing the portrait of John. So, just making sure I'm not missing stuff. Okay, so Jim's going to throw out a question of the day for everybody. I'll show you one more time. No. Okay, so I'm going to show you one more time the source image I'm working from. And that's this picture of John that's on my phone. The original photo, I was looking around the house for it, but it's over at Mom and Dad's right now, so that's okay. They sent me a picture of it, so I can do this. So, okay, so that's what I'm working from. And so feel free to, Jim's going to ask a question today. They're sometimes silly. They are sometimes very, very witty and whimsical. Sometimes they are the most deeply resounding intellectual piece that you might ever come across. So, cats see me go into the kitchen for a few seconds and they demand food. You're not doing half bad with that, Chris, because my cats come to me and demand food. Get in the kitchen, they say. Although I don't really entirely understand it. Fifth Dimension. Whoops. No S after the letter N. My finger slipped on the old keyboard. However, that wouldn't happen if you had one of these conversation pieces. So, okay, so let's get crack-a-lackin'. Okay, Jim's going to ask for a question. People can jump in on that. I'm going to move my keyboard so that it's not in the way. And let's get cracking. Question of the day. When you travel, do you prefer to travel light or prepared for everything? But I'm at 6:20 around here, yeah. Do I travel light or prepared for anything? I picked up my brother-in-law, John, to bring him to Mom and Dad's house. And when I did, he only had 4 pieces of luggage this time. John likes to make sure he packs for any contingency. It's impressive, really. Because not so much. Okay, so I've got a wide brush here set on you can see it on the side of the screen there. And so that's what we're going to work from. Jim has never met me in real life, and it shows. Well, answer him. Tell him I'll be back. It's funny. I do for light and taking so much things that I'm prepared to do anything. Yeah, I travel light at the start, throw away clothes, and buy new things at the destination. There's a bit by George Carlin called Stuff, and he talks about how people bring stuff to different places. And why do you carry all that? He doesn't say stuff, and it's a really interesting piece because it's very true and it's very applicable to most people. Okay, so I'm just roughing in shapes and spaces. I know everybody has their own different methods that they use. I tend to build. I'm a builder when I'm drawing. So Barbara says, when you say travel light, prepared for anything you name with luggage or consume with alcohol. How you doing, Gary? Welcome aboard, sir. Answering Jim, I want to do a single bag. I don't want to check anything. I don't want to juggle bags. Yep. You would be interested in how much I can shove into one bag. That is for sure. But these days, I end up having two. I always have two. And the reason that I have two is because one is, it's art junk, right? Who are we kidding? And I always end up coming home with at least three. Because Lori and I like stuff. We see stuff. We like stuff. So we pick up stuff. And then you got to lug stuff. Now, let's be straightforward on this. When I say Lori and I, speaking of my wonderful partner, we're talking about me. We're talking about I'd end up gathering a bunch of more stuff wherever we are. It's far more me than it is Lori. And, it's just how it is. I'm a pencils guy. And yesterday I saw that they had the pens that I like so much with all of the different colors in the ink. And they were $2 a package Canadian. So that's like 3 cents American. And, I bought you packages. Hi, Penny. Welcome aboard. Thanks for joining us. Everything's okay. Everything's good. We're all doing well. Ideally, for going to the shops includes multi-tool, knife, compass, lighter, fire starter, red pack, flashlight, primer. David travels like he's about to, the plane he's in is going to crash and he needs to have provisions for the photos. I don't want to be gone long enough to need more than a couple of days worth of clothes. We're still going. Pen, redundant, fire starter. That doesn't include my man bag. Oh, man. That's to go to the shops. Like that, Robert. Light all the way. Yeah. I just cannot hold back without your own coloring books. Yeah, there we go. Every time we travel, I panic about what the packing has on it. It shows me new stores where we're traveling to. Oh, for goodness sakes. Yeah, you're not alone. So when we were in Toronto last for a conference for Lori, I walked 14 blocks to go to an art supply store. Oh, let me correct myself. There's somewhere in the range of 9 blocks to get to the art supply store. 14 blocks to get to a bookstore that I wanted to go to. And was disappointed when I got to the bookstore. Just, I've been to their previous locations, and this one, not as good. Not as good. So that was disappointing. Okay, so I'm throwing in the structure of his face. It looks kind of odd right now. to be honest. But the whole idea of this is just to get us sort of some shapes, right? And whoops, back. All right, it's just to get some shapes in there, and to see what we can pull together. You know, it's just figuring out some things as we go along. Now I've got another flesh tone I'm going to work in here. That glove makes me look like a gifted Michael Jackson. Ugh. Yeah. Well, he was a thriller. He was a real thriller. So I'm just, again, finding some of those shapes and forms in there. So this can be odd and weird looking if you're looking for the image right away. What I'm trying to find here, more so than the image, is the structure. And then the image, that'll come in a minute. But in the meantime, we've got to get that structure sorted out. And as soon as we can do that, then we're cooking with the gasoline. You know. When we travel, my husband finds a bookstore in the mall and sits on the bench and reads while I shop. There you go. Nice to see you, Christopher. It can be a strong, healing, empowering tribute. That's very nice of you, Kat. Thank you. Welcome aboard. Yeah, we really appreciate everybody being so cool and understanding. It's strange. You get this routine going. You get rooted in, this is my day, this is the things that I do, and that sort of starts to help you identify equilibrium and stuff like that. And when it gets thrown off from whatever comes up, it can really put people for a ringer. But I think we've done pretty good. And it's a lot right now. And now I can tell you this much: I'm really a lucky person to have met my partner and her fantastic family. And see, I didn't have a dad growing up, and so for me, my father-in-law is pretty cool, because in the time that we've known each other, he's been a very good mentor. So him passing away is, it's sad for everybody. It's always sad for everybody in different ways, and So again, I'm just throwing down shapes and playing with colors. Throwing down some stuff here. Now, when it comes to some of these values that I'm throwing in here, they're going to change. And I'm painting at 22% opacity. There's the best part of my day right there. Anyways, that's Lori. If anybody doesn't realize this yet, that's my wife. Is married to a creative. So I'm putting in some of these. I haven't done his glasses. I'll do his glasses at the end. But what this gives me is a chance to, and I keep changing the size of my brush and cutting it down a little bit as I go, and getting a little more clear and specific about some of these marks that I'm putting in. And I'll refine a little more as I go along again. And so sometimes it'll look like I'm painting over something I just put down. Also, I force myself most of the time to work on the same layer. If I start to get conscious of it, then I'll add a layer. Hi, Lori. Yeah, sorry, Barbara. My wife's father passed away. Okay, so yeah, if I get so here's something if you're working on a piece and you're doing it digitally in whatever program, I think that this should carry over into. But as soon as you start getting self-conscious about what it is that you're doing, um, add a layer, put another layer on top of what you're working on. If you're going to hold yourself back from your concerns about whatever it is you're going to hold yourself back on, whatever mark making it is that you need to undertake, put another layer on top, and then what that's going to give you is a sort of free and clear feeling that you can't mess up everything you've already done, and that's really helpful, especially when you're doing a portrait or a very specific piece, or you've got a lot of investment in something that you've been working on. That'll be a real aid in that situation. So. Everybody talks about. There's even a thing in the entrance of my mother and father-in-law's house that says a bear lives here with his honey. It's just the funniest thing in the world to me. And he's a grump. I've never found Lori's dad to be a grump with me. He just, his patience gets tested. He's just, there's a way to do things and there's a way to go about it. But I've never crossed paths with him, and in anything but a positive way. I'm gonna let you in on a story, folks. When I hi Marsh, welcome aboard. Thanks, Darren. It's very nice. Thank you, Barbara. Hello there. Hello, Marsh. Welcome aboard. Okay, so here's a fun story. When Lori introduced me to the family, she introduced this 5'18" lunatic with long hair, and my hair used to be well past my shoulders, and more of it in the forehead. And here's her poor Dutch, dad looking at this, going, "Good guy," And on top of that, my brother-in-law Rob's a big guy too, and it's like, poor John, he's got all these towering lunatics around him, and they're marrying his daughters. So after Lori and I were together for a little while, I was going to ask John for Lori's hand to marry me. And so when I went about this, and I said, John, I want to ask you for your permission to marry your daughter. And he told me to go and talk to his wife. All right, well, and Lori and I are, we were married before, and that's why we have 5, because I had 3 and she had 2. We were both single parents and had a lot of similarities in our previous journeys and a lot of similarities in how we think. So we knew what we were getting into, but he reminded me about what she had gotten out of. And then told me to go and ask her mom. And when I went and asked her mom, she said, well, what did Dad say? I'll go check in with him again. Well, I think it's very nice, but what did John say? So I went back to see John, and I said, well, Cynthia, that's where's Mom said to come and see you and ask you. Well, what's she saying? I said, she said, it sounds very nice. He goes, okay then. that's that journey that was, and it was, I'll never forget it. So yeah, it was a moment to go through, but it was a moment that's more than worth it, because I got me a good one. Oh, it's fantastic. She puts up with this. There's your first sign that she's okay. Because Bess, come on, you're a brave lady. All right, so I'll pop the source image back up again in 1 second, just so people can see where we are progress-wise along the way. I'm missing a whole bunch of conversation, and I apologize for that today. And all of the well-wishers that, I appreciate it so much. And, what? How's it? Gary's asking me how it's going, Lori. Hi, Janet. And I said hi to Mark. Did I missed anybody? Okay. I just want to make sure nobody feels I have an acknowledgement coming in. I really appreciate everybody coming in and dropping by the stream. I know I've thrown the rhythm off going away for a second. Okay, so here is the picture. Sorry, it's washing out. This is the picture that I'm using of my father-in-law. Good looking man. Okay, so here he is on the screen, and here he is. Sorry, it's washing out again. Give it a second. So there he is there. There he is on the screen. So it's coming together. All right, so we're getting into the underlying structure in here. And right now, it doesn't look like quite the right shape for his mouth and the shadows. And of course, it's going to change once his glasses go in. But like I said, it's building it up. It's building it up and as we go along. So I like to change the tone that I'm putting down. And I also monkey with the opacity up above at the top of the screen. So if you're working digitally, don't feel lockstepped into it being, look at the top of your device or wherever it is on your device for how opaque your colors are or your line art that you're using is. And look at that and adjust it accordingly. Don't feel like you're locked into it. You don't have to be. You can change it around and have it suit your needs. So, and in this case, I tend to like to build up, right? But when I'm throwing a value in that I want to be in a space, then I'll push that opacity to be darker or more translucent. I'm using words. I know I'm using these crazy words, but translucent, how much you can see through it. Opaque or opacity means how solid a value it is or how much you can't see through it. So, all right, we're all in it together. Oh, Penny, that's super nice to say, but that's fantastic. I'm getting hugs from Janet. I got hugs from Janet. I'm just saying. And anybody else that gave me hugs, that's awesome. But Janet scares people at Walmart. Artwork's very shiny. Oh, that's very nice of you, Janet. That's very nice of you, Penny. Yeah, Lori's sister is going to come and visit from Holland as well. And it's, wow, she's the twin. So it's like my other mother-in-law. I don't know yet. Lori and I are, it's so impressive. Her parents were married for 59 years. And, there's a lot of journey in 59 years. But they built you got to see the size of her family. It's crazy. She's got 2 older sisters, and then she's got Kim, who's like another older sister, and her family. And each of her sisters have a bigger family, growing families, now grandkids kicking up left and right. And, and then, of course, he brought 3 more into the mix with us. And, and troublemaker John. John's watching this. You're a troublemaker. You're a troublemaker, John. John Jr. is their son. But 59 years is a fantastic journey. And you go through a lot. 59 years. You work through a lot. Or you're really stubborn. I think it's because they work through a lot. You got to be a team. I got a pretty good team going right now. Lori and I. She says, "You do this," and I say, "Yes, ma'am." So I'm starting to add in some of these raised. So like I said, I'm bringing it up. I'm bringing the values up from a base tone. Some of that underlying color is still popping through. That'll change a little bit as we go, but there's still going to be points and sections between the flesh tone values and stuff that blue is going to come through. That's why I didn't put a lot of green down on the face for some of those contrasts and shadows to defer how bright the face is, as opposed to using its complementary color, the opposite color in the color wheel, and flattening that down and toning that out. So the blue is working in that regard. And then, it gives me the opportunity to then build up and to start adding in some of these heavier contrast values. Now, I'll try to find, I'll go back and forth. And I don't know how other people do portraits, but this is how I do it for me, is that I put in and I take away, I put in and I take away, and I'll put in a lighter value in an area, to try to pull out the parts of it that need to be shining through, and then I will push that back into the crevices in the face and some of the wonderful little contours and shapes that we have in our expressions and the lines in our face. So, and father-in-law has a fantastic face. He has wonderfully expressive features. And he was a full contractor, as in building the entirety of a house, building the entirety from foundation on up, the entirety of, drive sheds, garages, renovations, the whole deal. He was an inspector at one point because he was so good at it. Okay, story number 2. How I found out my father-in-law was a building inspector at one point in time is because as I was renovating the house that we're in here, which was Lori's place before, and then we brought our houses together and replaced it together. And so as I was adding on the second floor here and all the rooms here that we had and what was our family room, which is now my studio, because our kids are all moved out, grown up, and we're proud of them. So I had to frame the whole thing and insulate the whole thing and from make sure, like my basement has 8-foot clearance and it has 7-foot clearance for where I have all of the hot and cold transitions for the air conditioning or the air through the house. And because I'm 5'18", I want to walk under it. So I had to do all of that laying out of the whole space. And then her dad came over to take a look, and he's asking me all these really pertinent questions. And I'm like, because of course he knows this stuff. But then she tells me after the fact that he just didn't inspect Robert. I'll bring over some food. I can say this: we will all face a situation. I was told by a friend to get ready. Time to my dad, like 87 is Friday. I fear I'm losing him, but I know it will come to pass. Oh yeah, Robert says I still bang that in the basement. Yeah, I understand that entirely. Chris. And it's even if you think you're the most ready in the world, that you prepared for whatever it is that you think you need to be prepared for, stuff comes up. It still takes you by surprise, or it still leaves you feeling a sense of, hey, that's not right. Okay, so I'm cutting the brush down again. Thank you for sharing that, by the way, Chris. That's very nice. So I've cut the shape of the brush down again, and I've put up a deeper value because I've been adding that lighter value. What are we at? 40 minutes. We're still doing okay. We're doing okay for time. I had a rough day yesterday, so I'm taking it easy. Okay, so now I'm cutting in a little bit more sharply some of these deep values into these features. And this is where you pick and choose. You don't have to do a whole sweeping line for what you see as a deeper surface mark on the face. Find the parts of it and put those in along the way, because the human eye will fill it in for you. But at the same time, the human eye will also recognize it's not a continuous line. And that's important. All right, so now I'm going to start to put in a little more in the shape of his smile. Try to get some of that in here. So since I've done the thing again where I've made the mistake of having a camera on my face while I'm drawing, you're going to notice that as I'm doing parts of John's expression, I'm going to make faces because I'm trying to get, it's a subconscious thing that creatives don't often realize that they're doing, and that is we emulate the subject. And if the subject's a person, in this case it is, you start making your expression as you're drawing a portrait. August 31st is the second day without my knowledge. Those are hard to help. Chris, I'm sorry you're going through all of that. Those are tough. Those are tough moments, and we're in our thoughts and prayers. She says, amazes me you're a handyman and artistic. I wish you had more of the former. You know, we didn't say it's good quality. No. So here's a fun thing. My father-in-law, I've been noticing all over their house little things that he builds and that he does for, like in the bedroom, there's this random wooden assembly on the wall that is the perfect place for my mother-in-law's hair dryer and gripper and curling iron. But he's built it so that it's literally like, spots to put to lock that in and to lock that in, and it's all accessible for her and available. And that's a level of organization that I'm never going to remotely come close to touching. It was really interesting to come across that. So I'm pushing those really dark values. Now they'll get darker. They will, and I'll bring some of these up a little bit more. But right now, we want to find those shapes when we can. I'm going to switch to here because it would help me at this point to start to get his teeth in here, because otherwise, if the mouth just becomes random abstract, then you take away and put it down and take away and put it down, and whereas if you can just throw in something that marks it out just a little bit more for you, those little light values, those little hits. And you'll come in with them, you'll come out with them. But it can look really weird along the way. So Lori and I are about to have 10 years together, 10 years married. She deserves like a prize. She needs a prize. Like a big holiday or something. Holiday away from me. She should go to Holland. That's what she should do. She should go. Okay, so Now, again, some of these things that I'm putting in here are I'm putting in some values and some marks that I'm going to diffuse down a bit, right? So right now they seem very, very bright and very much like but there's going to be some colors that are going to go inside here in just a few. But in the meantime, so I said something earlier about not having. I didn't have a dad growing up, and I never really had too much male role modeling. John's a pretty good one. He's a pretty good one. Everybody feels differently about everybody, but I can say unequivocally that I learned a lot in a short time that I've been raised. Short as in not long enough. This is part of what I said earlier, but I'll probably end up taking this out because it pushes a little too far. But we're just finding some of these colors here, some of these shapes. It's fun doing a digital page this morning. Robert says, my husband has been married to me for 48 years. Fantastic. Do you want to hear something crazy? And this isn't a shot to compare with anybody else by no means. This isn't a competition. My mother's parents were married for 72 years because they married when they were teenagers and they lived into their 90s. And I asked my grandmother when I was a teenager, I said, Grandma, how is it that you've been married to Grandpa for so long? And she says, I'm sorry, honey, but I'm deaf. And so I said it louder, like completely missing what she just did. I said, Grandpa, or Grandma, how is it that you and Grandpa have been married for so long? And she said, I'm sorry, honey, I'm deaf, and walked away. And I didn't get it. I really didn't get it for a minute. And I'm like, oh, so ridiculous. She was quiet, but boy, that was a zinger. I'm going to let you know a secret. My grandfather could talk. Let's get this bozo. All right, we're getting there. I agree about the animated thing, Jim. A thing or two here and there, but mostly it's a great skill I wish I had. Hi, welcome aboard, BD. BD, I bet. I bet. Oh my gosh. Yeah, here's the thing I can't help. I'm just going to let you know this now. When I see somebody who describes themselves as beady, I gotta look. I gotta subtle me. All right, we're getting there. It takes a while to build it up, but feeling okay about it. I want to do it right. With respect. There's some lame in-laws out there. You get some good ones. You got this hug. When a good in-law looks at you and shouts, "The balloon!" You draw a one-page story about a balloon. So like I said, I'm not going to be here tomorrow or Friday. Those are family days. But all goes well. I'm going to have a special guest maybe with me on Saturday if my brother-in-law wants to come and join me, and we'll do a stream where we're going to do something about hockey. And then I'm still posting pages. I've got a couple things on the Patreon. Tonight I'll be posting a 10-page story about, it's called Kidnap Action. And I'm still trying to post pages. This is page number 236 since the start of the year, from suggestions and ideas from people, and so we're having a lot of fun doing this, and I appreciate everybody's ideas. Miriam suggested a one-page idea at the start, and that door is always open for folks if you have ideas that you want to put forward and see what I can do with a one-page story with that. I don't tend to shy away from challenges. Jim, Jim suggested once a horse playing guitar, riding a bicycle, the edge of a fourth dimensional parallax. And yeah, we did it. So I think it went pretty good. I did it as some guys trying to pitch a movie. It's fun. It's a fun one to do. I've been on a leaky faucet. I've been trying to mentally will into being fixed for about 2 months. I think it's time to buy parts. It's probably just a washer. If you take the top part of the that's the water comes out of, take that part off and put a new little ring in there. Turn that part up. And if you don't know what size of ring, take that part of the tap into the hardware store and say, "Give me a washer for this," and they'll do it. That's the secret. That's the secret to fixing things. How make this go? Hey, hardware guy, how make this go? That's the secret. And then the typical posturing afterwards. Yeah, I'll fix that faucet. Yeah, it's fine. Everybody does it. So I'm coming in really lightly here. I'll probably just kick the opacity down anyways. But I'm starting to put in some of these lighter tones, lighter shades in and around the cheeks and stuff. I'm going to put his glasses on him in a second, and hopefully that will change a bit of the headspace about where it's going. There's a real storm going on outside, and my computer shut down earlier. All the stuff that I had been working on this morning, gone. Frustrating as all get out now. So here I am starting to find some of these lines. Crosser, over that nail right there. Okay, I'm gonna save for a second, just because I don't want to. I don't want to lose this because it's really storming out. I'm typing sideways because I like to make life interesting and difficult. Okay. All right, so we're going to put. Let's give it a second while it's saving. And in the meantime, Beth does beading, among other things. Fantastic. You don't look like you have beading excellence. Beth, making jewelry awesome. Jen Frankel, how you doing, Jen? Good to see you. Huh. Is he doing some more? One pager in conversation between 1980s Chris and modern day Chris. That guy's a dope. 1980s Chris is a dopey guy. Oh man, no autosave. I am a fantastic neurotic, and I am going to. I have my different processes for saving, and it's just I want to control more of it. So rather than having it save just whatever file, I got very specific ways I want to do it. I'm also using Photoshop from 2005. So it's less about the fancy schmancy and more about bending it to do what you want it to do. But it's working. It's coming together. Okay, so I said I'm going to put the glasses on there. Let's get that in there. Okay, so I think I'm going to carve them into this brown. We contribute equally. I break stuff, my husband fixes it. My husband and I are fantastic at home repairs. We call service people to deal with those kinds of issues. I got to write the one-page suggestion from Jim down so I forget it. And again, it's always open. If anybody has a one-page idea, however random it is, and if you are new here and aren't familiar with what this is, if you suggest a one-page idea or suggestion, I will make a one-page story out of it. It's what if butterflies ruled the world, and I do a page of that. Whatever it is. Conversation between 1980s Chris and modern Chris. I would go so far as to call me modern day Chris. Okay. I was worried we were calling me modern Jim. So feel free to do that. This is the 236th page we've done through this so far since the start of the year. Which says Photoshop Bender. Bend it to do it what you want. I am not gonna spend all this money every month on Photoshop that it's just gonna tick me off. All right, it's gonna get in the way of my free thinking, considering how much money I'm spending on Photoshop. It's a language I noticed. I don't know. It's so I'm setting and measuring as I go, which I know other people say, "What are you doing? Plot it up." No, I'm challenging. We all have our different ways of working for sure, but mine are a little somewhat counterintuitive at times. Did I make the glasses face? Did I do this? This is what I'm talking about when your artists expose themselves while they're working, and you see some of the ways that they do things that they're giving away some of the secret sauce. Clean that up, tighten that up a little bit. Chris says, we need more conspiracy theories with chickens. Just saying. Conspiracy chicken. Why did the chicken cross the street? It's a good question, Rena. If we figure that out, now here's my problem, okay? I'm afraid that if we figure out why chickens cross streets, something radical is going to happen. It's going to establish some sort of paradigm shift in mankind. We're all going to have this epithetic moment, start floating off the ground, and then a spaceship alien fleet shows up on Earth to blow it up to make way for an interstellar byway. Now, I might just be taking a leap there, but I just got this feeling. Okay, I'll pop down that layer again. I think it's coming. Christopher is good at plumbing too, but it's not his favorite thing to do. Oh, Barbara, you've opened my lid. I think there's a conspiracy that there aren't more conspiracies about chicken conspiracy theories. Mars says, figure this out. I have 10 hens and 1 rooster. Yesterday I got 10 eggs. Today I got 11. Somebody's getting busy in the barn. How many eggs can an average chicken produce each day? Like, is there a single egg? Can they do multiple eggs? It's a good question. Is there a conspiracy of eggs? So this is concentration face. This is where you start making a face of the subject. It usually, most often occurs in drawing the eyes. So much personality shining through your portrait of John Christopher. Thanks, Kat. I'm trying. Usually one egg a day, if that, but apparently they can have two sometimes. Well, we've got to figure that they're able to have two since, we're able to have multiples. Chickens don't want to be left out on that front. Well, I mentioned earlier, my wife's mother is a twin. So, yeah, that'll do. It's just a subtle sort of value in between. I'm putting down right now. It's sort of affording us to change some of the gradation, or well, in this case it's color, but the value shifts. There we go. There we are. Thank you, Barbara. I love chicken. So now I can come in here into this area behind the glasses and start to push the values more. And we'll come back in and push things up again, push them back, push them down, push them up. I wonder if one day we'll get a full dozen in a day. Well, if you don't eat some of those eggs and the rooster gets at them, you will. You'll be up to your neck in chickens. Chickens! So I'm going to jump up here onto this level. Push this up. I'm going to switch values for a second and come in with the really see, you got to do the push and pull, the back and forth. So because of this clean line that runs along his glasses, I need to know that value so that I can come in with those deeper values. I gotta have that balance. It'll also help to put in some of this hair as well. In order to just be plain old white, it's boring. Conspiracy of eggs. Great 90s band. The day for Primus. If you're a Primus fan, check out Oysterhead. The Primus of Guns N' Roses, how to keep them straight. We eat 5 dozen eggs a week. Good. Holy, what no? Hey, you should probably all be eating ones at 800 a week. Chickens run too fast for me. We'll come back and clean this up a little bit, but sometimes you got to stop the track you're on and come back in and push harder with those values. Hopefully it's looking like more like Lori's down. Even if it's a good picture, it's not the person. It's like, man, I'm trying to get a hold of the person. Turns down. Make sure I'm not missing stuff. Sorry, gang, if I'm not talking too much today. The question of the day is, when you pack to go places, something or other. Jim. So we've got different ranges of packing going on here. People are expressing from, as little as possible to absolutely everything that may well be an essential. Sister is driving and I the picture. Oh, fantastic. I barely eat eggs, but 6 I can have enough for a week and a half. My dad doesn't like it. Yeah, no, I've been trying to go through our fridge and eat the things that, you know, we don't want that to go bad, and no point in wasting that. And I've been making the most random stuff to eat for the last few days. So here's where we're getting tighter and tighter and tighter on the marks being made. Now, there's a great deal of people when they're doing images of others that they'll get into this stage a lot sooner than me. And whatever speed, whatever pace you get at as you're working on your stuff, just, it's not a race. Find that comfort as you go, and it'll come together. Those lines will all come together. It's daunting enough to try to do justice to a picture of somebody, especially someone that you care for, or if you're doing it for somebody else, for a client that you care for, clearly cared enough to have a picture of them. So when you're in those situations, take your time and come together. So now I got to come back in and put his eyebrows in because I took his eyebrows off. Shave the man's eyebrows off. That's not respectful, Christopher. It's part of our diet. Oh, well, yeah, like in North America, junk food is. I like boiled eggs and an omelet. And I said, no, it's fine. Yeah, I love omelets. I'm an omelet guy. Omelets are scrambled eggs. The rest of it, no, it's yucky. I know it's not. So this is some of those little pieces of information that we're finding as we're tightening up and all the little furrows in the brow. And you can still see, like right here where I'm working right now in the forehead, there's still some of our blue still coming through here. And I'm going over it. I'm not taking it out because our skin has a whole bunch of colors. Answer to Jim's question that we don't eat junk food, we have a keto diet. That's fantastic. So we're going to go. Answer to Jim's question today. I travel light. All I need is my Emiliano ski scarf. Kat, did you send Jim that picture you sent me of you and Emiliano with the scarf on? That brought a smile on my face when I needed one. That was pretty good. So I've switched. I'm going to a little bit of gray into this flesh tone to push some of these values back in here. As the cheek recedes and the color flattens out a little Getting into this face here too a little bit. Trying to bring it all down together. It's a different, I know, it's a weird way of working. It's kind of starting at the top and moving down the bottom, starting at the top, moving down to the bottom. And, you know, there's a purpose behind it, but so it's trying to pull his smile a little more as I go. I think we're starting to get there now as we get into these finer details. My brother-in-law John looks just like his dad. He's got different glasses though. I think I sent that. You sent it to me twice. You sent it to me twice, so maybe you need to send it to Jim. Jim, I'm sorry, not responding quick. I'm busy packing my light suitcase and one for Armageddon. One for Armageddon is huge. It's a giant suitcase. So pushing some of these colors back again. And hopefully it defines his eyes a little more as we go. Chris says, when's the Armageddon starting? I haven't tagged. I'm also wearing a scarf from my mugshot after the nightclub incident in Illustrated. Jim says I went to jail. For what Kat's referring to, Kat and Jim, is that Jim Luan has a character of called, let me see if I can find it. Here we go. Previous folder. A lot of files to get through. So, here is the picture that I did. Emiliano Koviak is a character from Jim's film Seven Smiles. And if you get a chance, please go and check it out. It's fantastic. And it's on Jim Luan's channel. You can see the spelling of his name in the chat. But Cat and Paste has a crush on Emiliano. And so I wrote a story where she sneaks into his club and goes up and through the roof and through the air conditioning ducts and comes down and finds his scarf on a table. And then she takes off with it. Yeah, she also smells it, but she takes off with it. Koviak! Soon we'll be together, Koviak. Yeah, and so this is what we're referring to here with the Koviak conversation. For those that don't know, Kat sent a picture of herself to me, so I put her in a story. I've also done one with her friend Julie Topaz because it involved one of the words that was suggested was topaz, so why not put Julie in it? And anybody else that wants to be included in something, send me a picture of yourself. Just send it to my email, and you want to be in a page, I'll put you in a page. I don't mind at all. It's a lot of fun, and they're very good sports for trusting me to try to do their justice to them, do my best. So thank you for that. So this is, in my opinion, the eyes take the most work. And if a lot of times people will start right off with the eyes, I tend to be looking for the eyes as I go and trying to find all of those pieces of them as I come along. And I feel like I'm finding more and more of John as I go here. So whatever works for you is the right way to do it. When you're doing a portrait of somebody, if you find that it helps you to establish, here's the eyes as best as I can represent them and build everything around it, then do so. There's no right or wrong way. Anybody that tells you that there's a right or wrong way to express yourself, yeah, insert whatever you would like there on my behalf. Yeah, you managed to escape. Yeah, well, for now, we'll see how it goes after that. But yeah, she's after Kobe right now. We're all in trouble. You don't need a picture of me, Christopher. Just think Marilyn Monroe, and that'll work. But what if I make a mistake and illustrate Jane Mansfield instead? Pictures are better. I'm just saying. It's, people don't have to feel like, I'm not suggesting anything. I don't want to have to send a picture of myself. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if we want, I got no problem including people in the pages. Just bear in mind, I'm weird, so I might make you smell an animated character's scarf and then run away with it flapping in the wind over your car. I could have, that's a really good sport. So she could have been like, what in the world? You made me look like a crazy person. Drawing digitally is really the difference between drawing digitally and drawing traditionally, in my opinion, is waiting time. Is drawing time. Aside from that, it's this application and approach to how you work is not very dissimilar, depending on your comfort and how you perceive images and how you approach things. At least that's what I find. But again, it's different for everybody. I think I need to drop. Let me do this. I think I need to drop this value back here so that the bridge of the arm or the bridge of the glasses are farther back. Chrissy told me there's no right way to work. Please don't let people tell us, but you're telling us not to let people tell us. It's not telling us? I'm confused. My ignorance. Yeah. Only listen to me as your cult leader. I don't know. Whatever, you follow your intuition. Your intuition's always going to be right. It is. It's because it's your voice. It's your expression. So you should have done this. No, it's not. If I'd done this, maybe it would have been a little more formulaic towards the predominant way that people will do it. But that's not what my intuition was telling me to do. So we need a little more warmth, and tighten that down a little bit more. I'm just running through and finding the right kind of deep value from inside his mouth. I can find the corners, then I can find now. I realize that other people are like, just twist your screen around. What are you doing leaning on it? No. It's really traditional, but I'm not a digital guy. Sorry, I'm so quiet right now. Detective Pereira has sprung me. I'm sure my Emiliana was worried about me. There we go. That sounds like a whole other page I need to draw. I did a self-portraits on Instagram. Tried facial expressions with that. Fantastic. And chimps in a fetal position. I've tried drawing people in graphite. I found it difficult. That's why I switched to pets. It's then the white coats are here. They're trying to fit with that jacket and sleeves that up in the back. Such a stylish look. New matching coats. Not only does Christopher work successfully across all art mediums, he also works digital effortlessly. Well, thank you, but I don't think there's any difference between different medium. Now, my brain might be cuckoo for coconuts, but what it's about approach and finding out the little nuance within the medium. Like you have to learn how to paint differently when you go from gouache to watercolor to acrylic to oil. There's different approaches and tempera, forget it. Like there's just different ways in all of those. But once you take that time to find that, that rhythm, to find that underlying principle of it, it should start to have its own, to kind of have its own dialogue. I know that these marks make these effects, and I know that this tool or this medium allows me to express things in this way. Once you start to put those things together, then the game changes a little bit, and you can jump from one medium to another. And it's also just the same as anything else. The way to get to Carnegie Hall. Well, nowadays it's a time machine, but practice. That's very nice of you to say that. I really appreciate it. And what is that called when you're proficient in a bunch of things, but you aren't a master of any of them? Maybe that more aptly describes me. I suspect you see what I find the difference between the Joe's future skills and ours. I think John be so proud of this partial cats. That's very sweet of you. Again, it's just a practice, right? It puts up some challenging people in the chat. Well, at least one of them. No, Chris says sometimes those little details from medium to medium are tricky to master. That's so true. And again, it's just you're gonna make major mistakes, and that's the way it is. And making those mistakes, you're going to find those principles. You're going to find those approaches that work for you. You're going to find those means to express the things you're trying to express visually, but you've got to do it with that whole trial and error approach. The person who picks up a brand new thing that they haven't used before is not going to be very successful at it, and the fifth time, maybe the 50th time, they're not going to be very successful at it because they're still learning. And as long as we allow ourselves to grow and to progress, then eventually we'll go, okay, I got this one. I got the handle of this today, and there it is. That's the sort of thing that you're working towards. One of the reasons behind my using so many different medium and telling these one-page stories is I can't settle, for one, and another is I like to try to keep feeling like I've got some sense about it, and a way to do that is to routinely take another stab at it in a different medium, and so that's why I'm always trying different things. Now, there's certain things I can't try. I'm allergic to, there's something in the binding of a lot of oil paint that makes me sick. It just, it's that old throat closing up. And you're not feeling good while you're doing this. And if you're not feeling good while you're expressing yourself, don't do that thing. But oil paint gets me. It's just that, and I don't like fussiness of things like egg tempera. Egg tempera is so lovely, but the whole egg business being involved in the making of your fountain, I don't have. No, we have things that come out of tubes now, and that makes me much more engaged. So I go for the thing out of tube. We're getting there. It's coming. It's going to need a fair amount more, but well, while I'm at it, while I'm right here, right now, why don't I do this just to give a sense of it? So this is where his shirt is, and he has a button down that crosses over, and then we have this here, and then the lapel moves over top, comes through here, so the shadow from there. It's just, if you want to do a thing, take your time for yourself and whatever time that you can afford to do it, and do the thing. It's not easy at first, it gets easier over time. I got to put in some of that deeper red again. See, taking the time, taking this little moment to rough in more of the composition has allowed me to look at the face, to step back from the face, and to put some consideration into some of these marks that I'm making. So that's move around an image and find the image. I appreciate everybody's patience and understanding today of not the typical stream that I normally do, and that I've been away, and I'm going to be away for the next couple of days, but then I'll be back. Do a little bit on the weekend here for those of you who have a hard time tuning in on weekdays. I'll be doing something this weekend. But thank you everybody for your understanding. Okay, so this, when I'm done, this is for my mother-in-law. I put one for Lori too, but this is for Cynthia. And I'm gonna structure textually, a bit about my father-in-law over here. So incorporating it into the idea of thoughts and feelings about John and Simon. And I'm also just going to print it out as a portrait of John. All right, I'm going to pull the source image up again for anybody that's still sticking with us. What am I working from? Where are we now? Sometimes it's a little details. Yeah, again, what we were talking about before. Well, there's Lori. Hi, Lori. That drawing is so expressive. Oh, nice, Jim. My dad's eyes were piercing blue. You got it. Well, I'm going to pop them out a little bit more. Or I can only imagine this wonderful portrait makes you feel priceless and bringing tears to my eye. Oh my goodness, God, I'm sorry. It's a perfect representation of great knowledge. You guys are all very nice. I really appreciate that. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Gary. Well, let's look at the source. I'm going to pop the camera again. So there's John, how we are so far. And then here's John from the image. So now is where I got to come back in and bring in some of those cherry reds and really push that forward. And then I'm going to put some of these yellows and greens from the background in around him as well to try to push him, because those yellows and greens and as complementary colors, or the opposite colors on a color wheel from the reds, pushes values forwards and backwards when you use those in correlation with each other. So that's what's next. And but there's the source, and there's where we are so far. Source, so far. So when I put the red in here, I'm going to cut, chisel his chin a little bit more and give a little more of that. It's got more of a square chin, more of a square feature to his. It's got a movie star chin. So I'll do this for a second. And push that back and push that down a little bit. Line across. Let's put some of those heavier shadows in the chin to push that face back. So there's always that sort of glue that comes back. And so this is where I started with, was this sort of cherry color, and all this building. Now we got to come back in and make sure it's over there. So. Well, that's very nice of her. I would appreciate that. Well, we all have these different abilities and different affinities towards expressing ourselves in different ways. It's just Carnegie Hall. Practice, practice, practice. So. Okay. And I'm going to deepen the eyes a lot. So. All right, we're at 1:47. 3 more minutes, and then we're going to have to take a time out. Just check my blood sugar, all that jazz I got to do, you know. Yeah. So the I'll be more bold with the glasses. I've had my phone plugged in this entire time, but I made a really great investment recently, and I went and found a 10-foot, 1,000-foot extension for my phone charger. Like it's just this ridiculously long cord, and so I can, hold it in my hand wherever I need it in the studio, which is really helpful for me. Cut my mark size down a bit. Okay. So these random little marks is his eyebrows. Got quiet again on these, didn't I? I could sing a song. Roll on the long road, gone for your minute too. Jim says, remember to take care of yourself. Yeah. Princess, thanks for the stream. Thanks, guys. Thank you very much for coming and being a part. I'm just going to get I'm pushing into these dark values again, and then I'm going to go in through with that red, but I'm fine enough. There we go. I think that was the shape right there. It opened up his eye for me. Strange how, you know, it'll be one mark and you're like, okay, I see them now. Starting to make a better sense of this thing I thought I was doing. Thank you for sharing this beautiful note with us, Mr. Oh, thanks very much, Pat. I appreciate it. And Miriam says ditto. Thank you, Miriam. Very nice of you guys to join me here today, and thank you for all the nice wishes and stuff, and the nice things you said the other evening. I appreciate that very much. I don't, I may be described by some as a bit of a workaholic. And, yep, but not this week. This week. Okay, so we're getting closer to finding John here. I'm sure a little more time and source image before we wrap up to see how far we got. And of course, I'll have to finish that off later on, but I'll post it for as the page tomorrow. You'll see that. On a bit of business there. This is the thing that, for those of you that were able to, Katie had a stream this morning, and I got a chance to stop in and watch. I was doing other things, and her grandson, Cameron, he's, okay, it's time for lunch, let's go. And Cameron's like, hey, just a second, and he's doing that thing that most creatives have done, which is like, one more second, one more second. I myself am guilty of the same, so. So I'm just going to put these shapes in his face here and under his nose and some of these reflections and build up some of these shadows and values. And, you know, I'm not good at expressing my feelings, I don't think, unless I'm writing it or drawing it or, you know. I really respect that, John. It's too good. So I'll get this done for. Okay, last time I'll pop the other one on. Oh my, you guys are so nice. Thank you, Miriam. Thank you very much, Barbara. I appreciate you, your understanding. Okay, so this is, oh, I'm so sorry I washed it out. Just give it a second. So there's John there, and we're getting there. We're getting close. Just got to tighten up around the sides of his face, and then I'll pull it in. It'll be this cheek on the left side. As soon as I tighten that in, it'll start being a little more John. Okay. All right. Well, I think I'm gonna sign off. Mary says you're very good. You talk with your brush. It's very nice, Mary. Listen, thank you everybody for joining me today on the stream, and I appreciate it very much that you're all so supportive and understanding, and it's a crazy thing, this artsy journey that we're all on, and to be able to have the grace and fortune and blessing to come across so many other creative individuals that are all sharing and interacting on this journey with one another. I can't express enough about it. But thank you all for being who you are and for doing what you do. I can honestly say that there's nothing but good thoughts for all folks here. So there we go. That's a little more than that. Okay. I'm going to sign off. I'm going to work on this a little bit more, but in the meantime, I got to go and do my thing. And I hope that whatever you guys are doing in your creative journey is coming together. And I hope that, in all the hardships and the losses that we all have in life, I hope that celebrate that time. Celebrate that time that we've all got together with the people in our lives. I think that's the only thought I have on it. And in the meantime, have fun discovering who you are. All right, I'm going to go. Thanks very much, everybody. Have a wonderful day. I will see you Saturday. I'll put an announcement out before we get to Saturday for what time. Okay. Take care. Bye for now.